The story of the accordion is a fascinating journey that blends music, culture, craftsmanship, and human creativity across centuries, beginning with ancient instruments that inspired its creation and extending into modern global music scenes where it continues to thrive. To understand the accordion, one must begin not in Europe, where it was first invented, but much further back in ancient China, where a free reed instrument called the sheng was invented thousands of years ago. The sheng used bamboo pipes with free reeds to produce sound when air was blown or drawn through them. And this principle of the free reed is the very foundation of the accordion and all related instruments. Over time, the idea of the free reed spread westward, particularly as European explorers and traders brought examples of the sheng back with them in the 18th century. It fascinated European scientists and instrument makers, who began experimenting with the free reed principle and applying it to new inventions. The first half of the 19th century was a fertile period of invention in Europe, particularly in music, as the Industrial Revolution created better tools, machines, and materials. Around this time, the idea of combining the free reed with a portable keyboard and a bellows to push and pull air took hold. In 1829, in Vienna, an instrument maker named Cyrill Demian patented what is considered the first true accordion. His invention was relatively simple compared to what the accordion would later become, but it introduced the crucial combination of bellows-driven free reeds with a series of buttons that allowed the player to produce chords. Demian's accordion was marketed as an easy-to-learn instrument suitable for amateurs, particularly in a time when parlor music was popular. It could provide accompaniment and melody with relatively little training. Soon after, variations began appearing across Europe. In Germany, Italy, France, and later Russia, local instrument makers experimented with the design, adding more buttons, improving the reeds, expanding the range, and in some cases, creating diatonic or chromatic layouts depending on the musical traditions of their region. The accordion quickly became popular among ordinary people because it was relatively affordable, portable, and versatile. Unlike large instruments such as pianos or church organs, which were expensive and required space, the accordion could be carried from place to place, played outdoors, and used for dances, weddings, and folk gatherings. This portability was critical in its rise as a folk instrument across rural Europe. In Italy, the accordion was embraced in traditional folk music, becoming a centerpiece of rural celebrations. Italian builders such as Paolo Soprani, who founded his factory in Castelfidardo in 1863, played a massive role in popularizing and industrializing the accordion. Castelfidardo would later become the global capital of accordion manufacturing. Meanwhile, in Germany, the accordion spread rapidly through folk traditions, particularly in Bavaria and among German-speaking communities who valued it for polkas, waltzes, and regional dances. Germany also became a major manufacturer, with firms like Hohner establishing themselves as key producers. By the late 19th century, the accordion was already a truly international instrument, exported to Russia, Latin America, and even North America by immigrants who carried their beloved accordions with them as they sought new lives abroad. As the accordion spread globally, it adapted to local musical traditions in remarkable ways. In Russia, it developed into regional varieties such as the bayan, a large chromatic button accordion that is still widely played in classical and folk settings. The bayan allowed for great expressive range, from soft lyrical passages to powerful dramatic tones, and Russian composers wrote serious works for it. In France, the accordion became central to musette music, a style that flourished in Paris cafés and dance halls. The musette style of accordion playing, with its fast waltzes and swinging rhythms, became iconic of French culture. In Ireland and Scotland, the accordion was absorbed into traditional Celtic music, where it joined fiddles, flutes, and bagpipes to play jigs, reels, and folk dances. In Latin America, particularly in Mexico, Colombia, and Argentina, the accordion fused with local traditions, to create new genres that remain hugely popular today. In Colombia's vallenato and cumbia music, the accordion is the soul of the style, weaving lively melodies that tell stories and celebrate daily life. In Mexico, the accordion became inseparable from norteño and conjunto music, blending German polka influences brought by immigrants with Mexican rhythms and storytelling. In Argentina, the related bandoneon, a close cousin of the accordion, became the heart of tango music, giving it its melancholic and passionate sound. This global diffusion highlights how the accordion was not just an invention, but a cultural phenomenon that traveled, adapted, and thrived wherever it went. By the early 20th century, the accordion was one of the most widely played instruments in the world. It was particularly popular among working-class communities and immigrant populations who valued its versatility, affordability, and ability to bring people together through music. Accordions were mass-produced by major companies like Hohner in Germany, Excelsior in the United States, and Scandali in Italy. The period between the 1920s and 1950s is often referred to as the golden age of the accordion, particularly in North America and Europe. During this time, the accordion was featured prominently on radio shows, in recordings, and on stage. It was taught in schools, used in marching bands, and was often seen as the instrument of the people. In the United States, accordion schools popped up in major cities, teaching thousands of students, many of them children of European immigrants. The accordion's image was wholesome, family-friendly, and patriotic. It became a staple of community events, parades, and popular entertainment. At the same time, virtuoso players emerged who elevated the instrument's status by showcasing its expressive capabilities. Players like Pietro Frosini and Guido Guerrero dazzled audiences with their technical skill, helping to establish the accordion as more than just a folk instrument, but also as a serious performance instrument. However, the accordion's popularity faced challenges in the latter half of the 20th century. The rise of rock and roll, electric guitars, and new styles of popular music in the 1950s and 1960s pushed the accordion out of mainstream popular culture. Its association with older generations and traditional music made it less appealing to younger audiences who embraced modern sounds. In America, the accordion became somewhat unfashionable, sometimes even mocked as a square or uncool instrument. Yet while its presence declined in mainstream pop culture, the accordion never truly disappeared. It remained vital in folk traditions across the world, from Latin America to Eastern Europe. In Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil, it continued to be at the center of massively popular regional styles. In Europe, folk revivals in the 1970s and 1980s brought the accordion back into prominence, as younger musicians rediscovered the power and emotional depth of traditional instruments. In classical and contemporary music, composers continued writing for the accordion in Vienna, giving it legitimacy on concert stages. In the late 20th and early 21st century, the accordion began to enjoy a resurgence, often through unexpected channels. Pop and rock musicians began incorporating it into their songs for its unique sound. Bands like the Pogues, They Might Be Giants, and Arcade Fire brought the accordion into modern alternative and indie music, showing that it could be fresh and relevant. In world music, the accordion has remained essential, whether in Cajun and zydeco music from Louisiana, tango from Argentina, or vallenato from Colombia. Moreover, technological advances have also influenced the accordion. Electronic and digital accordions have been developed, offering the same feel and playability, but with the ability to produce a wide variety of sounds, connect to amplification, and integrate with modern music production. Brands like Roland introduced digital accordions that preserve the instrument's tradition while pushing it into new creative territories. Today, the accordion is respected as a global instrument with deep roots in countless cultures. It symbolizes tradition and heritage while continuing to adapt to contemporary music. From Parisian cafés to Colombian festivals, From Russian concert halls to Mexican dance halls, the accordion carries stories of migration, adaptation, and joy. It remains one of the few instruments that can simultaneously provide melody, harmony, and rhythm, making it a one-person orchestra. Its history is not just the story of an invention from 1829, but a story of how human beings across the world adopted a single instrument to express their unique identities and shared humanity. The accordion's journey is a testament to music's power to travel, transform, and transcend boundaries. Whether in the hands of a folk musician at a village dance, a tango master in Buenos Aires, or a classical virtuoso in a concert hall, the accordion speaks a language that crosses borders and generations. It is both ancient and modern, local and global, humble and majestic. That is why, nearly 2 centuries after Cyrill Demian's first patent, the accordion is not only alive but thriving, still writing new chapters in its remarkable history.